And welcome into episode 54 of the Avetts and Beyond. My name is Todd Emanuele. I have a very special guest joining me today. This is pretty cool. I got to thank Jasmine Pritchard as well for setting this up. She told me if I didn't mention her name, that there'd be hell to pay. So anyway, thank you to Jasmine for setting this one up, and we'll talk about her here in a minute. But I gotta say, our guest this week, Bandits on the Run, is a musical trio. I'm stealing this from your website, comprised of Adrian Blake Enscoe, Sydney Shepherd, and Regina Strayhorn. They formed upon a chance encounter while busking in the subways of New York City, and kind enough to join us here today. Adrian, Sydney, and Regina, thank you so much for coming on today.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
How are you doing?
Yeah.
Very good, very good. This is very cool. Now we're gonna start. We're gonna talk about the band, and I have like fan questions and stuff. This is gonna take a hard left, and we're gonna talk a lot about the Avett Brothers and Swept Away, obviously. But I wanted to hear about the band. Like you're out in LA. You're based in Brooklyn, but you're out in LA right now because you're starting a big West Coast tour. So tell me about that whole thing right now.
Oh man. Well, we've been chomping at the bit to get out on the road since I was busy doing Swept Away for three months in DC, which was awesome. It was actually kind of amazing to meet people, Avett fans and theater fans from all across the United States.
Yeah.
And to be able to be like, actually, I'm gonna be in your hometown in a couple months and we'll
That's
see you.
cool.
But and also Sydney was doing a show before that, so we haven't been on tour since like the summer.
Yeah.
Which was really fun. So we've already been to Denver and Fort Collins, Colorado. Ran into some Avett fans out there already.
I bet.
The cool thing about LA is it's the beginning of our run with John Gallagher Jr., who is also in Swept Away.
Right.
We're going up the coast to Marin County and Seattle, and then going all the way to the Midwest and touring back across the states to New York from there.
Very cool. So how many dates is it in all? This whole swing that you're on?
Great question. Maybe 20-ish?
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but it's a fair amount, and we're really excited to start the run with Johnny. I mean, he's a fantastic musician, and it's also kind of the Swept Away love continues, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the chemistry that's on stage continues off stage, and then that's
very cool.
Yeah,
that's very lucky. But obviously, you guys have known each other for a very long time. The chemistry's there between you. But tell me about when you guys started. It said a chance encounter in the subways in New York City, and you formed a band. How did that all come about? Like you just all ran into each other, like, hey, let's form a band. How did that work?
It's the shortest way to say the story, which is a longer story. But Regina and I actually went to senior year of high school and college together. So we went
Nice.
for a really long time. And I had just moved to New York, and I was coming home from a party, and Adrian was playing guitar in the subway.
like you do when you're
yeah, and I was just gonna kind of give him $1 and walk away, but then he started talking to me, and then the train came, and I was like, I have to get on this train, and he followed me onto the train. And
in like a not as creepy a way as that
very
sounds.
creepy.
She's just saying the fact.
I'm saying the cold hard facts here. The fact is, Todd. No. So
The fact is, I never got my $1.
Well, we got married in September, so I think that's a little bit better than $1.
That's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
so the creepy chasing on the subway while playing. Were you still playing the guitar while you followed her on the train?
Funny, I definitely was not. I like this.
Okay.
The train was coming, and we've been talking a little bit, and I was like, actually, I was just about to get on the subway, and I just like grabbed everything.
I said it was.
And I threw everything into my case and was like still zipping up my case when we got on the train.
Yeah, but we ended up talking, and we realized we had a lot in common, and we were both actors and musicians. And
I found out that you're a musician, a cello player, before I knew you were an actor. And I was like, whoa, who is this?
Yeah, and then when we started, we connected that night, and we started hanging out, and he was like, oh, do you write music? And I was like, well, my friend Regina and I used to write songs for fun in college. So I showed him a few of our songs, and he was like, you guys are so amazing together. And then about 6 months later, Regina moved to New York, and
it was a magical experience because I moved in with Sydney, And then Adrian was in the apartment all the time, and he was like, want to come down to the subway and play music? And granted, I was there for like a day, and I said, of course, yeah. I moved. That's the kind of attitude you have when you move to New York for the first time when you're young. You're like, anything goes, yeah. So we went down there and we started playing, and we only knew a handful of songs together, but the train comes every 15 minutes, so it's like that's all you needed was just three songs or whatever. And honestly, it was just very organic and serendipitous. I think we knew kind of early on that we had something good because we responded to it and other people responded to it. And there's no more truthful audience than a group of New Yorkers who are just on the subway.
Totally.
Who are rushing to get
it's like if you can impress them, you can impress anyone.
That's right, because most of them, do they even make eye contact with you? It's like, just get away from me, I'm trying to get to work or whatever. But if you can impress them,
magical people in the subway.
That's a good sign though, if you can impress them.
It's piquing their interest, because people will like kind of pretend that they're not watching, and then you can feel them they're like doing this. Maybe they take out their AirPods or whatever that they're listening to, and then after a while they're kind of like watching, and they start like facing you, and then that's you know.
And I do think that like starting off in the subway sort of created an ethos for us as a band that was like, every time we're playing music, it's an offering. It's like when you get to a point where it's like, you have to pay attention to me, and if you don't, then I'm not going to do this. Then that's not the most generous spirit, and that's not where the most beautiful moments like thrive. So I think growing up in the subway, as you will, as a band, I think was really healthy for us, because I think it's naturally quite humbling and also really like inspiring to see the power of music, that it can completely change somebody's day. Like we got emails all the time being like, you had no idea how much this moment meant to me, thank you. And like how could we know that,
Right. What a great story you guys have. Like, wow. Like it's been so long since you got to tour together. This has got to be like a blast that you're all together playing music again. Like you've probably been dying to do this for a while.
We have.
Feels good. Feels good to be back on the road.
We've kept up like working on music since. I mean, even during Swept Away, we've been working on writing a musical with our friend Christopher Sears. It's an adaptation of What's Eating Gilbert Grape, and we've been like on my days off, my Mondays in DC, I would be like taking the train back on Sunday night, going up to New York, and we would have like a day of rehearsal
or recording demos
or doing like a performance of that.
We've been working with the book writer and the screenwriter of the show, of the entity of Gilbert Grape, Peter Hedges. So like some days we'll have a writing work day, and then Adrian will go back to DC. It was like a nuts time.
Crazy.
But we've kept it up. We just never stop. We always move at a breakneck pace.
Are you working? So you have new music, new album coming out soon, or what's the deal with that? I know that you have some EPs and stuff like that out there now. But
our last like big EP was during the pandemic. Everything was canceled.
Fun times, right?
Yeah, really fun. We were on our way to South by Southwest. We were like, oh, we got an official.
Oh man!
All right, we made it to Nashville, and then everything fell apart.
Yeah.
What was kind of amazing is that South by Southwest still connected people that year, because a producer reached out to us and he was like, I was really looking forward to your set if you're ever interested in recording.
Oh wow.
And we were like, he's in recording, and he's like, cool, I'm in Seattle. And we're like, cool, we're in North Carolina. Great. But nothing was happening.
So
we got in a van and drove across the country out to Seattle and recorded our EP, and that was pretty nuts. This time around we're recording in our neighborhood, and we're producing it ourselves.
We kept it as close as possible. Yeah. We have a friend who has a studio 2 blocks away.
That's awesome.
We'll just like walk to the studio every day. But we're self-producing. We self-produce these tracks. There's like 7 or 8 of them. And we really wanted to like be able to experiment more, because that EP was really fun to work on. It was very much a destination EP. It was like we got there, we had 2 weeks at Bear Creek Studios, and we were living there, so it was like kind of like summer sleepaway camp. It was in the middle of July. And then we left, and like it was a total complete little chapter. Now this one we were now working on this new EP. We've been kind of like been able to nurse the songs for a long time, and some of the songs were songs that we were kind of writing in the studio, kind of like very old school. We'd be
Yeah.
able to like track something and then be like, actually, let's change that. Let's change the instrumentation on that. And so we've had a lot more time to stew in the juices, and that's exciting. It's really, really fun.
That sounds great. So what's the timetable for when we could see some new stuff? Yeah, are you just not ready to announce that yet? Or what?
Yeah.
We have released a couple of like teaser tracks from it. So we did 3 releases last year, and those are forthcoming from that album.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that'll give you like a tone. There's You Have Changed, there's Radio, and there's Reach Back, and all of those used like different instruments than we had traditionally used, and brought more people into the fold. We got to work with this awesome drummer, Eric Farber, who we've done a couple of live shows with, and he has his own Bandits character that he brings to the stage.
That's cool.
Yeah, and he appeared in the Radio music video.
Yeah.
We're actually staying at his house right now.
Yeah, right
Oh,
now.
nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff.
Yeah.
So you guys got married in September. Now, Adrian, when we were chatting before, when we were setting this up, I learned that you were from Earlville, New York. Now,
Oh,
Earlville, New York is like a half hour from me.
That's
It's
so
wild.
Yeah,
It's
what a
wild.
small world. So how does a kid from Earlville, New York end up doing what you're doing?
It's really a wild story, because I think it was just this, it was like something in the water in that area, and at that time there were all these like young professionals that did community theater.
Yeah.
And so when I was growing up, there's an Earlville Opera House.
I was
which-
just going to mention that you must have performed at the Earlville Opera House.
Yeah, it was the first place I ever performed when I was like
Nice.
8 years old, doing a musical called The Phantom of the Music Room.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
I'm going to interrupt you. I'm sorry. Did you
Go ahead.
ever, when you're doing stuff at the Earlville Opera House, did you ever go to a radio station that was near there to promote it or anything? Do you remember doing that? Because I used to work at a radio station in Oneida that was right near there, and the Earlville Opera House was a huge sponsor on our station, and we would
Oh.
always interview people that were in shows coming up, and like the director and stuff. I'm just wondering if you ever came into my radio
Like,
station.
around when was that?
The station stopped in 2015, so it was, I mean, from my gosh, the 80s through
Wow.
2015.
I don't think I don't recall. It's definitely
Okay.
possible. There's a couple of like Gilbert and Sullivan plays and musicals
Yeah.
there, and we've played there. But I think the first time that we played there was like maybe 2015.
Mhm.
It's a fun place to play because it's an old. I mean, you could almost
Yeah.
do it totally acoustic.
Yeah.
It's like built. It's one of
Oh
those.
yeah,
like,
it's a
built-
great venue, great little
Yeah,
spot.
it has these awesome wraparound venues, but I mean wraparound balconies, but everybody's really close, and the stage is raked. So like you can't
Yeah.
you can't like put anything round down on it because it will start rolling to the front. But I had like some seminal formative memories at that place, just watching amazing bands come through.
Right,
And
sure.
like I remember Odetta came in like the last like 3 or 4 years of her life.
Wow.
And she used a wheelchair at that point, and like it was not ADA compliant, which now it is. Earlville Opera House has like put in the elevators and ramps and everything, but at that time it was not ADA compliant. So they hired me and my best friend to like lift Odetta onto the stage.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
I'm like, I'm lifting a folk legend onto the stage. What is happening with my life?
And you
No.
thought that was going to be your claim to fame, sir.
Yeah, truly.
That was
No, I mean, I feel really lucky because there was a lot of art happening in that area, and there's
It's a
still
great area,
there's
sure.
a lot going on right
Yeah.
now. But when I was growing up, I was like constantly inspired by my peers and adults around the area. I saw so much live music, and so I was really bitten by the bug, and I just I knew that it was what I wanted to do with my life. And,
That is so cool. That is a great story.
yeah.
Small town, USA, Earlville, New York.
Like
Super
800
small.
800
Right.
or less people, one
Yeah.
traffic light. But
Yeah,
it's because we're working on Gilbert Grape now, and like it's also about a small town, and I feel like I am bringing that perspective to the songwriting of this.
well, you're the perfect person for it, right? All right, let's talk Swept Away, because I don't want to run out of time here. This always goes so fast.
Yeah.
Tell me what it's like, first of all, being involved with this amazing musical. I have not had a chance to see it yet. I'm dying to.
It's
But
You're
tell-
so
So good.
I
we
say
won't
that.
give we won't give anything away. But it's absolutely fabulous, and I can say this. You might not say this about yourself, Adrian. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I will say it.
I'll say it.
Tell
I
him
know
how
you're
good
talking
you
about
are.
me.
Tell him how
Yeah.
wonderful you are.
It's an amazing piece to be a part of. There's so many incredible talents in that team, both off stage and on stage. You know, we all came up as like mini theater kids in high school. We were watching Spring Awakening, which John Gallagher Jr., he was like 20 and he won the Tony for best acting performance in a musical that year. It's we were all just like, this guy is our hero. And so to get the chance to be on stage, literally like dancing,
Yeah.
like I have a little like jig that we dance together, and that like
Pretty great.
I think the first time you came to see it, you were like, my high school crush and my future husband are dancing together.
Real?
Great moment for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it feels like a fate, really, because like
Yeah.
there are so many parallel universes where I never would have gotten to get seen for that show.
Mhm.
I was an agency at the time that sent me out for exactly one musical, and that was it.
Wow.
And nobody had seen. I got the call for the callback the day of the callback. No one had seen my tape except for somebody offhandedly mentioned my name to a producer, and the producer found my tape and was like, "Why aren't we seeing this guy?" Because I've been working on Bandits for a long time at that point. I love the Avett brothers. I feel like they were really looking for an authentic folk voice.
Yeah.
And in me, they were able to find that. I mean, obviously John Gallagher Jr. too was like had been doing that.
Amazing, right? But your voice, can I just say your voice is like it's very unique. I love your voice. Is
Yeah.
unique a good way to describe? I don't want to make that sound insulting or anything.
Oh,
Well, that's great. Well, what I was gonna say is like we're all in the musical world and we see a lot of musicals, and like Swept Away is so special because it really celebrates people who have unique voices and
Yeah.
like sound really different and cool, and because like there's a lot of homogenous sound in musical theater right now, and
Mhm.
something like Swept Away really celebrates
Yeah.
these like cool, interesting voices.
Yeah.
You definitely have a cool, interesting voice. It's like it stands out. I love it.
I mean,
It's different.
go to the Avetts. Like that's something that
Yeah.
like I was just down in Miami doing a little musical theater conference, and the Avetts actually came with the show.
Wow,
And
really?
we got to sing Swept Away with them. And I was just sitting there listening to Scott and Seth and the way that they harmonize together. They're
They're
both unique. And
Yeah.
Seth's voice is just like his voice has just carved these amazing paths in the songs.
They are amazing. The blood harmonies, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
For sure.
That's why we sound so good together, because
'Cause
we're
we're all
triplets.
right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that, yeah.
Well, we've had 10 years. I mean, we're kind of a family band, like
Yeah.
a found family band.
Yeah.
We've been singing together for so long, and all of us have very particular. We don't sound the same, but but we all really lean into our uniqueness and then harmonize on top of it. So
That's why it works. That's why it
Yeah.
works. It's
Yeah, yeah,
perfect. That's great.
yeah.
Tell me about your character though in Swept Away, little brother.
So it's funny because the character's name is Little Brother. People are always like, "So did you do research on Seth?" And I'm like, I mean, yes, but I'm not playing.
You're not
Seth.
playing.
I actually really wanted to I wanted to put my hair in like the Seth Avett braids.
Braids, right? Yeah.
For a while, and the director hard vetoed it. I was like, "What? Come on! He's this free spirit. Let Little Brother be Little Brother."
But then people would definitely be like, "You're playing Seth."
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's Seth.
That's
I didn't
true.
know they were in a shipwreck.
Yeah.
Is Seth okay?
Yeah. But yeah, little brother is like the lifeblood of like adventure in the show. Like he's escaped from his hometown. He's from a small town, a religious community, and he like is on the path to like get married and inherit the farm. And he's like, "No, it's not an adventure." And so he escapes so that he leaves without telling anybody, and his older brother comes to find him, and like older brother finds little brother on the ship that little brother has gotten to go on a whaling tour, which is like, it's a hard life on a whaling ship. You're gone
Yeah.
for like more than a year at sea, you probably are gonna get scurvy. You're gonna be covered with whale blood at certain points. You're gonna be starving to death at certain points.
Right.
You might get lost at sea, and little brother's like, sign me up. So which is something that I think I can relate to in my own life. I'm definitely like the person suggesting ridiculous ideas that sometimes work and sometimes do not.
So without giving too much away, I know the story is based on, look, I brought props. The
Yes,
Custom of the Sea.
Yay.
the mignonette.
I also have Mignonette with me here, of course.
Yes.
So is it loosely based on the Custom of the Sea? Because I don't want to give too much away, but it's an interesting story.
Oh, it gets grisly.
Okay.
The mignonette, the story that like the Custom of the Sea is what the Avetts were reading
Right.
when and I got to hear like them talk about this
Yeah,
recently.
I've had their dad on my show, and he's told me all about it.
Oh my God, Papa Avitt.
Jim's
Jim
the
is
best.
so cute.
Has he told you all about shipwrecks? And he's like, he's enamored by shipwrecks.
Yeah.
And all this stuff.
There's a lot of shipwreck stories that they grew up with, and he had told them to read this book.
Yep.
And then and I think at the time they were touring in a van, just like the four of them taking shifts, driving, going like across the country back and forth, and it felt like being lost at sea. So they were like, we're bonded together because we're all lost at sea together, a sea of mountains.
Well, it didn't get quite as crazy as the Custom of the Sea,
No. They
in that band.
Come to quite the. I think they were still able to eat, regular people food during that time.
Right.
But
not just regular
I
people.
Give too much away about our. No. But I totally see it in the way that the story is extremely influenced by that.
Mhm.
And also it is not that, because the sailors in this in Custom of the Sea were a real case. They were all from England.
Right.
They were sailing around the Horn of Africa, and they were in like a yacht that was just the four of them that was leaking from the start. It wasn't the wind. So John Logan, the script writer, who did a fantastic job, just like watch. I feel like he did one of those solving a great mystery things with all like the corkboard, like the strings between all of like the lyrics. He must have he looked at all the lyrics that the Avetts had ever written and been like, where's the characters? And he slowly started whittling them away into these archetypes and found them and wrote them into the story that birthed that was the inspiration for Mignonette.
That is very cool.
It's wild. It's wild what he was able to do. But he also was researching other shipwreck stories. There's the story of the Essex, which was a whaling ship that went to the Pacific and was ruined by, if you believe their story, a whale, like an angry bull sperm whale that destroyed the ship. Really? And it's actually probably what Herman Melville heard about when he decided to write about Moby Dick.
Yeah, right.
There were two whaling boats that had the survivors from the shipwreck on it, and both they were lost at sea for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. And it's in the Pacific, which is the largest body of water that you could get lost in. It's
right. Did you ever envision yourself like a shipwreck expert, knowing all this stuff about?
I love the sea. I haven't spent that much time on it, so you
don't see it very often in Earlville, that's for sure.
No, you really don't. No, a lake wreck I could do.
Right.
I probably could write the book on the lake wreck.
Lake wreck.
He is an expert on the late 1800s, though.
Yeah, that's true. Most of the parts that I've been cast in have been 1800s roles.
A lot of research.
About your essence just gives 1800s.
Yeah.
Okay, quick question. This is a fan question. You just made me think of this. From Ryan Boyles, my friend Ryan Boyles says, which fans are more crazy, Avett or Dickinson? Good question.
Whoa. Wow. I feel like I've seen more of the Avett fans.
Yeah.
Because I'm not there's a screen between us.
Right, sure. You don't see the people watching you there.
I'll say the Avett fan. Yeah, you can answer this too.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, I think like both are equally as fervent and like excited,
Yeah.
but I noticed the Dickinson fans, which tend to be more shy and like, dare I say, like bookish, like more like kind of Emily.
Yeah.
And the Avett Brothers fans are the absolute best. It'll just come right up to Adrian
Very
and be like,
engaging.
you know, hey,
Yeah.
like I saw the
Yeah.
show, and you know, just the best people, like super
I think that's a
friendly.
great way to put it.
Yeah, I
Also-
think they're equally out there, but
just like
yeah.
quirky as all get out. Like they're not. I feel like I've met so many Avett fans that are so unafraid to be themselves unapologetically.
It's a
And-
great group of people. They're
Really?
the nicest people I've ever met. It's all like a big family. It really is.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's like people are always giving you things, and
Yep.
like all I want to do is like stick around and hang out. And like sometimes I would do that after the shows. I had to like kind of start like cutting myself off a little bit because I knew if I went out, I would be there for like until I would close down the theater. Like we would be there until they were like kicking us out.
And they would
Like,
appreciate that. I know that.
that.
Have you been an Avett fan for a long time? All of you?
Yes,
Well-
I mean, we're from North Carolina,
Oh,
Regina.
okay.
So we
That-
grew up all
Yeah,
over the
and
place.
actually, their tour manager, Dane, he's neighbors with a neighbor that I had when I was a kid, so it's a
nice.
full circle moment. But my mom especially is a huge Avetts fan, and we listened to them in college too, so like we
Yeah.
were familiar for sure.
Oh yeah. And they went to North Carolina School of the Arts. And I did not, but I have since like kind of like immersed myself in that community.
Yeah.
And there are so many people. I cannot tell you how many people were like, yeah, this band, the Avett Brothers, I love this band. Like they're like people would show me their favorite songs, and I'd be like, this band is really awesome.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, they're all theater people, and they would all be like, I wish there was a musical about like with this music.
Yeah.
And like it was hard to tell some of those people when I booked the role. I was like, actually,
I'm gonna do
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I can't believe this. And I hope that at some point, I feel like I've heard of people using Avett songs to audition for theater school.
Nice.
Like it probably
Increase the amount.
increase the wave
That's
of
gonna
it.
happen more
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And their lyrics just fit into that type of thing. Like their lyrics are amazing. Like they could, I don't know where it comes from, but they're just so talented. And I would listen to them record the phone book, but they're just amazing at what they do. And they have new
Yeah.
music coming soon. I can't wait to hear it. I heard
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really good. So that'll be cool. We are running out of time. I've got 9 minutes left here. So
Oh my
Right,
God.
all right.
I have a
Go.
big question for you. New Year's Eve. I'm going to start the episode off with, I found a good recording on YouTube of you singing with the Avetts, and it's good audio. So I'm going to start the episode with that. You got to
God.
sing on stage with the whole band. You sang Swept Away. What was that like? What was going through your mind when you came out?
Nothing in my life could have prepared me for this moment. I get on stage for a living. I tour. I'm not it's not a new experience to get in front of people and sing. I've been singing this song for a long time, for years. But the experience of like coming on stage and just seeing all of these people, like it was more than 10,000 people that all
Yeah.
love these songs as much as I do.
Yeah.
And the incredible energy coming at the stage was amazing. It was like it popped my head off. I was like, I did not get down back into my body until like halfway through the song. I'm not kidding.
Were you nervous at all when you got up there?
I
Or was
did
it
not
just-
think I was going to be nervous, and then immediately I was like, "Whoa!" I wasn't even nervous. I think I was just like.
'Cause I know it's funny because I just watched it before we came on, and you're like, "Hi, everyone."
Yeah, no, but the amazing thing that you probably don't hear in the video is that like all 10,000 people are also singing.
You could hear it. Yeah, the audio on this one's good. You can hear everyone singing along.
Oh, I
What
gotta
a
watch.
cool moment.
Yeah,
So
it was.
I'm going to start the episode off with that before we get into
I
the
can't
interview.
wait.
The other cool thing was that people knew little brother. There were people like yelling, "Hey, little brother!" from the crowd,
course.
and I felt like I was like a member of the band, which I would never.
You do realize that every single person that was down near the stage has probably seen Swept Away multiple times. I know a lot of the people obviously that are fans, and one person, I don't know, you've probably met her, Elvon McMillan. Do you know that name?
Yeah.
I think she's been to every single show. or at least in DC, because she lives in DC most of the time. But
She is so sweet. She like
she's
and
great.
she and a couple other people really would like this is the thing that I love about Avett fans. They took it on themselves to be like, we know the show. We've like we're getting people to see the show. Like, oh, are you afraid? Like you're a little nervous about like meeting the actors? Here, let me introduce you. And so they would often bring like a really sweet young aspiring artist kid to the front of the crowd and be like, oh, I want you to meet my friend, my friend Zach. He's a guitarist. And I'd be like, oh, this is awesome.
That
Like
is cool.
they're amazing. And I felt so lucky to be welcomed into the family like that. They're like I know them very well now, and like some of them have been to a lot of Bandit shows too. It's like it's spilled over into our universe, and it's pretty wonderful.
Well, you guys have great music, so that helps. But the whole Avett connection really does help too with Avett fans. They will support anything that's Avett related, and a lot of people will say that and agree with that. It's nuts. So that was very cool. That New Year's Eve performance, I couldn't get it gave me goosebumps for you watching because I know you're a fan, but to be up there on stage with them and singing and having the crowd singing along, that had to be surreal, but very cool at the same time.
I don't know the word for it. I will never forget anything about that night until the day that I die. Beyond the day.
That's great. What's it like working with Scott and Seth? Like I know you've been around them quite a bit lately, right?
I look up to them so much because they are incredible collaborators. They're not precious at all with their songs. They're like, I mean, they're proud of their songs. They have every reason to be. And also they've been like, now they're our songs. Like you're singing them too. They're like do with them what you want. And like that's been an incredible freedom to have as
You just don't
actors.
see that from acts.
Yeah.
You don't see that.
A lot of times I feel like with jukebox musicals, an artist will be like right there being like, what about this? What about I don't know. And like they've been so cool about being like, you guys do your thing and we'll just show up and support.
They're so supportive too of it. I mean, they talk about it all the time. And
yeah, they're incredible. And like, I don't know if you like, I'm not sure I've ever told anybody this story like publicly, but like during the Berkeley run, we had to shut down for about 10 days because there was COVID that
right, I remember that.
Yeah. And I was the only person that didn't get it.
Really?
But the show closed down on my birthday. My family, Sydney's family had come out to see it. Yeah. And it was a wild time, but they were so sweet. Both Scott and Seth made videos to like give to all of the cast to be like, hey guys, I know it's hard, but just pull through and don't worry, we got your back. Like they were so sweet through that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I want to be just like them.
Right?
Like
they're just genuinely nice people.
Yeah.
They're just down to earth people. Who care about their family and their friends, and I don't know, they're just special. And I've never seen anything like it. Like I've had bands that I've liked, but when I discovered them, it was like something different, and it's hard to explain. But they're just special.
Well, I feel like what they have made is cultural as much as it is musical. Like
definitely.
Like the culture speaks through them, the love that they have. They're not just about playing the music or writing like fire lyrics to get famous. They just love what they do, and they love the people that are gonna engage with them on that. And we've tried to keep that kind of vibe for ourselves as we grow as a band. Like there's no time that we've we always welcome every fan with open arms, and we're so excited when people like join our family too.
Do it the Avett way, because that's a good way to do it. People are gonna follow you. Do it the Avett way, man. That's great. So is this show Swept Away gonna end up on Broadway? I know you've been waiting for me to ask that. It has to, right?
The thing is, I have every shred of belief that yes, it is going to. I cannot say
well, I figured that.
A number of reasons whether or not in fact everything is in place.
No one's listening but me. You could tell me.
Okay. Just between no, the thing is, like, we're also, as actors, we're the last to know, so we actually have to kind of be detectives when it comes to that kind of thing. And we're like, I hear that there's gonna be an opening at this theater, and they might be thinking about moving it into then, but we'd have to like shift some things around with the set to make sure. Like, there's always like this kind of gossip. But I will say,
Make it happen.
there's
Whatever
not a
it takes.
there's not a person in the production team, in the cast, in like everyone believes in this piece.
Yeah.
To the like everyone's following it to wherever it's going. And so,
Definitely.
I don't think that you can manufacture that kind of spirit. And I've been part of shows that didn't have that kind of spirit. And like, this is like, it's so real. It's so like hot. Everyone is like, yes, 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 let's go. So I can't say like, oh, we're gonna be at this theater on this day. But I believe it in my heart that we're gonna be there. Yeah, we're gonna be.
That's great. Well, I look forward to that. When it gets on Broadway, I will be there. I have to get there to see
I'll see you there.
Yes, and you have to come out and say hi to me after the show.
Todd, I'm there. I'll see you at the stage door.
Awesome.
Yeah, bring your friends from Rome too. We'll be like, Rome is in the house.
That's right. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll hold you to that. All right. Well, I have like 30 seconds left here. It's gonna run. We didn't get a chance to talk about the songs that you picked for the episode. I'll talk about those after when I piece it together. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Have so much fun on tour with Bandits on the Run. Go download all the music off of Spotify and Apple Music and all that stuff. And new music coming eventually. We'll see that new music. What's your website? Quick.
It's banditsontheRun.nyc.
BanditsontheRun.nyc. All right. Well, we'll see you down the road.